Well, hi, Bob Goff. Welcome to That's For Sure podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me. Great to see you.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see you too. I'm so excited to have just a few minutes with you today. I know you're known as the, chief balloon operator. You're the balloon guy. You run this phenomenal organization called Love Does, just this incredible school in so many different parts of the world. You go to prison periodically. I mean, I think it's
Yes.
important to note you leave when you go. You go to San Quentin, and you have this phenomenal retreat center called the Oaks in San Diego, which is how you and I met when
Yeah.
I attended a writer's workshop. And Bob, I would
Oh,
say when I hear people talk about Bob Goff, those are the things you're known for, what you do and how you do it. And you do it so well. But Bob, when I think of you, I think of the guy who's available. Bob is the guy who has made himself available. You put your phone number in the books that you write, your bestsellers. You answer the phone when people call. You answer texts. You answer emails. And Bob, I wonder why is being as available as busy as you are, but as available as you are in the midst of that is important to you.
yeah. I could never be the smartest guy in the room, but each of us get to decide our availability quotient. It sounds like it's mathematical, but it isn't. You just decide each day who and what am I going to be available to. And we're actually doing that every day. We make on average about 35,000 decisions a day. So
Wow.
it's early in the morning. I had to decide if I'm going to have coffee and then decide do I use some cream? And then there's like sweet Maria Goff has like 5 different like goat milk and this and this. So I got to decide between those. And we're not exhausted. We're just used to making these decisions. And one of the very simple decisions that we get to make is how available we'll be. And I just decided that I would be uber available. And this was before there was even Uber.
Right.
I just decided I'm just going to be the guy that's available. And it's really for selfish reasons. Because then if you're available, then you get to meet all these really interesting people during your, brief period of time here. 27,383 days. That's what you get, give or take.
Yep.
So I just decide about 27,000 times to be available.
Yeah. Well, I know as someone who's received your availability through the Oaks and just, we've texted and that kind of thing, it's encouraging because you do actually respond to people. You see people and you respond. And I know that how much that's meant to me. And I know that that's just on a huge scale of others that you're available to.
Well, but just think of that. It's this really beautiful social experiment that we could all be available because God loves each of us. We're all tied for first in his mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so to go, not to just say like a parlor trick, like somebody wins the golden ticket and he gets to talk to somebody. God sees us all the same. And it always struck me as funny that somebody gets a bid part in a movie and then they have like cupbearers that are they play a country western song and then they're not available, make them a book or a whatever. And then they're just all of a sudden they're hip. And then I just think that's nonsense. I think God takes all of that and makes confetti out of it just to celebrate community. So if we start thinking of ourselves as just this big worldwide family of friends that have a ton to learn from each other, then I was the big winner in our relationship because I got to know you and all the things that you're thinking and dreaming about. And that starts ricocheting off my life in beautiful ways and ways that I wouldn't have had the chance to do if we weren't hanging out. So yeah, thanks for being available because that's the thing about availability. It takes two.
It goes both ways. Yeah, that is absolutely true. And I know that I've just, you probably won't remember this, but when I was at the Oaks for a writer's workshop, which you host some phenomenal retreats and events for folks. But, I heard on the first night I was there that there would be coffee first thing, 6 a.m. the next morning.
Yes.
In the little common hall there. And so sure enough, I was there at like 5:55 waiting for that black cup of coffee, my fuel for the day. And there was nobody else in there, Bob, but you and one other gentleman. And you were having a conversation. And I thought, I'm just going to sneak in and get my coffee and sneak out. But you actually saw me sneak in to get coffee and you made a point to say, "Hello, good morning, how are you?" And I was not about to interrupt your conversation, and yet you saw me and you were so friendly and so kind. And I just think that to me is who I will know Bob Goff as. Just this guy who sees people and who is available. And I just think that is such a compelling story of a life to live in this world that we just see each other and we say hello and we greet. And I just think you do that well. So thank you.
Yeah. What if you think of this as just the kind of like the pilot to the series? And right now we're living the pilot in this series that's going to go on for eternity,
Yeah.
and you get to know the characters. So wouldn't it be good to know the characters? Me, you, the person that delivers the mail, the person that bags the
Yeah.
groceries, to get to know them. And if indeed we're going to be spending eternity together, you might as well start shopping for a roommate.
Start now. Start now. Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. Bob, I wanted to ask you real quick. I had seen recently that your Love Does school, the very first one in Uganda, is now you're working towards a university.
Yeah, we broke ground on a university. We started in this place, kind of like when they said like Jesus was from Nazareth, and they're like, what can come out of Nazareth?
Right.
There's a place in northern Uganda called Gulu, and people hear about Gulu, and they're like, well, that's just way out in the bush. It was also the epicenter of this 30-year civil war between Joseph Kony and the Lord's Resistance Army and the Ugandan military, and so this has been a place fraught with all kinds of problems. In the north, every uprising starts there and sweeps to the south. So we thought, what if we build a school right in the middle of it? And we told 300,000 or 400,000 young people during the war that we're going to build a school, and you guys are all welcome to come and all that. And out of 300,000 or 400,000 kids that are out of school, only 9 showed up. I think 8 of them didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
But then we ended up with 19 and 29 and 109. And now there's 1,500 kids living
Wow.
like on campus in this 60 or 70 acre campus. And it built a surround this wall like Nehemiah. It's 12 feet tall, 3 feet
Hmm.
thick.
Wow.
Because if there's another uprising, I'm protecting the kids.
Oh,
We're going to
yeah.
get whoever on the inside of the wall
Yep.
to dissuade people on the outside of the wall, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we built this campus, and then we added on to it, not just a junior high and high school, but then an elementary school, and then a preschool to that. And now
Wow.
we're adding on a university. So the game is to go from diapers to doctorate.
I love it.
Just blow everybody's mind. And behind the school, we're acquiring the land, and we're building a zoo.
Of course you are.
Of
Yes.
course, you have to. So I'm actually shopping giraffes right now.
I love it. I love it. Well, I think that is just absolutely phenomenal. What an exciting venture to look forward to. And how cool for, the just the locals and the opportunities that these kids are having and, to be educated, to go to school and to just fulfill their dreams. And I think you've given them an opportunity.
Isn't it crazy you'd have a Ugandan kid living out in the bush that's never seen a giraffe or a zebra? They're not going to be going to any game preserve.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so to like kind of bring that back to them, because they used to be roaming all over the place. And I
Yeah.
just think it's kind of fun. So it's I would describe all this as a strategic whimsy. It's not just whimsy. Whimsy is doing silly things, and that's great. That's a great thing to do on a Friday. But if you wanted to make a life out of these whimsical, lasting things, that would take some strategy. And we spoke when we were together about a hope without a plan is a wish. And so what I don't want to do is be wishing on falling stars and all that. What I want to do is implement a plan that actually has some shelf life. It's viable. Like we're in year, whatever it is, 25 there. And if I get hit by the pie truck, the school will go on because it's viable. Like there's enough resources and we don't owe anybody any money. So it won't take much to keep us going.
Yeah. Well, it's super encouraging to follow along and just, kind of watch the story unfold. I cannot wait to see the giraffes and the The zoo,
Ah,
I
could
think
you
it's so,
imagine?
so great. Yes, I think it'd be so fun. I know Highland cows are about the cutest thing in America right now, and I know that they aren't native to Africa, but maybe we could see
Oh,
about shipping some Highland
we
cows
should
over.
ship a couple over. They have these Ankole cattle there, and they're known for the length of their horns. So an Ankole, a rack of horns from an Ankole cow might go 8 or 9 feet. So
Wow.
it's pretty
Yes.
impressive. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, Bob, throughout all of the things that you do, love does. So you're an active guy, and the things that you do throughout all of those, throughout your life as your career as a lawyer, those types of things. If there's one thing you could say that is absolutely true about who God is, what might that one thing be?
Well, I would say the ability God has to not control but influence our lives if we're willing. So the reason I think about that is that nobody likes to be controlled. I don't like to be controlled. I'm sure you don't like to be
Nope.
controlled. They put their hands on your shoulders and tell you where you're supposed to go next. That feels like I didn't like it in grade school. I don't like it now.
Yeah.
We spend a weird amount of time trying to control other people. We're more subtle. We kind of keep our hands to ourselves, but we don't keep our opinions to ourselves.
Right.
So everybody's got an opinion, like they're like Priuses. They're just everywhere. And so what I'm trying to do is maybe model that in other people. I can see somebody do something
Mhm.
they just seem like nutties, a March hen. But to say what I'm going to do is I'm not going to engage that. I don't need to swing at every pitch. I don't need to try to control people's behaviors. But what I will do is try to be an example of another way to do it. I'm not trying to draw attention to myself. I'm just actually just saying, hey, you go, whatever blows your hair back, go do that. But for me and my household, we're going in this direction.
Yeah.
But not with militants, but with resolve. There's a lot of people that say, we're going this direction. And then they just load out buckets of shame for anybody that's not going in
Right.
the direction of them, or they don't have the same belief system or faith expression or whatever. And they're trying to straighten everybody out, like that whole idea, like Jesus says, like everybody's welcome. And a lot of people say that. But then when they show up, they're not invited. Like they're just like not,
Yeah.
can't smell the cookies in the oven. And I want to
Right.
return to a little bit more of that.
Yeah.
And that is going loose on doctrine. It's going big on Jesus. Like to
Yeah.
just be welcoming, be nice,
Yeah.
be known for people that are like just really nice. And then people start talking, well, but that's a slippery slope and you need to call evil bad. And I don't know. I'm just not the sheriff. I'm
Yeah.
just not the
Right.
guy. And I'm glad everybody doesn't need to be deputized.
Yeah.
Some people are sheriffs, some people are firefighters. And I just like want to leave all the war metaphors. Like they don't hold my interests. It's like a battlefield out there and we need to, but I just don't feel like the world's a battlefield.
No.
I don't think every fight is a fight to be won.
Yeah.
And I know this, Jesus doesn't need a lawyer.
No.
He doesn't
Yeah,
need,
that's
we're
right.
not good enough. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's, life is a constant invitation. He's constantly inviting us into some things that he's up to and the ways of that he is. And I think he's given us that freedom to invite folks along too, like what you said, not in a militant way, but in a, hey, let's do this together. Let's say yes to this and see where it goes.
Yeah,
And
what do
I
they
think
call
that's
that
just
when,
really wonderful.
what is that when everybody brings a dish to the meal? Like everybody shows
A
up.
potluck.
A potluck. Yeah, yeah. So one version of a potluck is to say, hey, just bring whatever it is that you like. If you bring a bunch of
Hmm.
Twizzlers or bring a meatloaf or whatever it is that you're like, we're having a meal together, just bring whatever you want. The other is to say, if your last name starts with an A through E, then you're bringing the cabbage. And if it's F through G, then you're bringing this. And so I don't know. I'd rather just say, what are you good at? Because you might get assigned something you actually stink at, and then
Right.
everybody to eat what you're like didn't want to bring anyway. So
Right.
I
It's
would just
terrible.
say, whatever you're good at, like just do that. Whatever you've heard a lot of people say is you do really well, like
Yeah.
bring that. So
Do more of that.
maybe stop trying to organize this thing that God intended to be a potluck, like bring what you've got.
Yeah.
I'm a big history buff when it comes to the origin of words. And when we're done, I'm going to look up what potluck is all about, like the origin.
Right.
Why
How
do they
did that
call it?
start?
And
Yeah.
why is the word luck in there?
Right.
It's like
Like
because
good
there's
luck,
always
whatever you got
Uncle
in your
Jim.
pot.
Be
Yeah.
like, no, he's going to bring the meatloaf again.
Yes. Right. The mystery pot every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows?
Or in
Yeah.
California, it would actually be pot, right?
Yes. Yeah. It would really be the pot. Yeah. I love that. Gosh. Well, thank you, Bob. I've got one final question for you, and that
Yeah.
is what is bringing you joy in this season?
Yeah, I think if somebody asks what it feels like to be me, I would say living in constant anticipation of what might be possible. And so some people do one thing at a time, which is terrific. And then they do the next thing, the next. And it seems like the way that life is kind of shaken out, that there'll be many things going on at once. So we've got refugees here in town. We started going to Afghanistan before the more recent version of Taliban took over.
Yeah.
They started abducting people. So that school is still going great. I just can't go over there constantly and be
Yeah.
with them. But then what happened is with all the crazy that happened, 10,000 Afghans moved to San Diego
Yes.
as refugees. And so it's kind of like
Sure.
Kabul came to us.
Yeah.
So I think in anticipation of that, later this week will be just over the border for all the asylum seekers that are staying on the Mexico side,
Mhm.
as they should. So because they're there for such an extended period of time, we are starting a school in the camp so that the kids' education, and I have no opinions about all the big
Sure.
disputes that are happening
Yeah.
along. I just know that kids ought to learn. So
Yeah.
why don't, while all the smart people are figuring out all the border stuff, what if we just educate some kids so that
Yeah.
their education isn't interrupted while the conversations are happening?
Yeah.
And so things like that, living in anticipation of, I wonder how that'll work out. And then all the logistics, like how do you get the Century Pass? So, and then it needs to be assigned to my motorcycle so I can
Yeah.
get over. And I want a motorcycle because I don't want to be stuck in traffic.
That line. Yeah.
So, yeah. So
I know
just
that line.
the logistics behind each
Yeah.
one. So some people would be hassled by that. And I'm actually engaged by that. I just think, oh, we could tease that thing together.
Yep. Yeah. Well,
So
that's
whatever
awesome.
it is, I just know
Yeah.
this, God is huge about that idea of loving your neighbor. And you don't have to go across an ocean. You just go across the street.
Yep. Yeah. Well, Bob, you teach myself, you teach me, you've taught me so much, and I know you just teach so many people the importance of, just loving the people that you're next to because of your care and encouragement of me. Look what I have here. This is a
Come
book I'm holding
on, there
up
we
that
go. That's for sure. Come on, tell
that's
us about
for
that.
sure that you helped me along with the wonderful
Ah,
Kimberly Stewart, right? And I'm so grateful for the ways that you've encouraged me personally. And even this podcast is happening because of your encouragement a year ago. And so I'm so incredibly grateful for you, for your life, for the story that you live, and for the way that you point people to Jesus, just because of how you see them and care for them. So thank you so much,
yeah, so
Bob.
tell us how we get a hold of that book.
Yeah, so it's available on Amazon, and anywhere books are sold. It's just a little book of encouragement. It's the tagline is encouragement to remain in the one who remains with us. And it's just a short little quick read full of stories and things that I've learned to be so true about who God is and just the fun that he has in store for us and walking with him. So I hope it's an encouragement to readers.
The reason I'm so glad you did that is that really has shelf life. And for people listening to the podcast, Write down your words, write down what's happened. This is what Carrie did. This is what you can do. Like, keep writing down more and more stories, things that make sense to you. I'm going to be looking up what potluck, the origins of that are. And not because I'm going to write a devotional. There's a whole chapter called potluck, but it makes me think then of that kid's story called Stone Soup. And the story of how they started with just a couple stones at the bottom and everybody just put in what they had. So it isn't flights of fancy. It's just that potluck probably then points towards that. That points what your giftedness is. And that points towards what a great gift to your family and your kids' to have this book handed down. Way to go. I'm so glad you wrote that.
Well,
Keep
thank
writing.
you.
I want you to work on the next one.
Yes, I've started. I am working on.
Come on.
Excuse me. I am working on the next one. It's coming. So
Are
thank
you
you
going to
so
let
much,
us know
Bob.
the title? Have you picked it yet? Have you picked whether it's a boy or a girl?
I have picked the title and I'm living it real time. So it's called, the working title that I have right now is called Here for the Ride. Just something I've been saying quite a lot lately about, really, I'm here for the ride, Lord. What do you have for me and my family? And just really working through, what does it look like to be just an audacious follower of Jesus without any inhibition, but just to follow him wherever he leads and be open-handed with all that we have. So I'm here for the ride.
Yes. Oh, the absolute power of imagination and engagement rather than control and manipulation. Like,
That's right.
I'm not trying to control it. I'm not trying to put my finger on the scale and influence it. What I'm trying to do is I want to just show up every day. Along for the ride doesn't mean passive. It means actually engaged. It means showing up. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Come on, get that one out.
It's
Let's
coming.
go.
Well, as you say, the world needs your words. And I would say that is absolutely true of you too, Bob. The world needs your words. So please keep writing and keep doing what you're doing.
Well, remember Patch Adams in that, I'm just trying to think of the story where he was a doctor. Maybe it was called Patch, like was his nickname.
Yeah, Robin Williams, maybe?
Yeah, Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Patch was the name of the movie, I think.
I think so, yeah.
And the whole idea is that we're both physician and patient. And so I come to the conversation with you as your student, and that we come to each other as students, not as professors. That's right. And if we do more of that and then write down what we're learning along the way, now we got a ball game.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for letting me hang out for a little bit.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate your time so much, Bob. And just like I said, the world needs your words. Keep encouraging and showing up. Keep being available for people. It just means the world. So thank you so much.
Thank you.